Hello, welcome on the Conversation Show with myself, Adeoye Benjamin, on Leaders in Check. In the conversation today, human trafficking is among the world's largest growing criminal enterprise, and it has been estimated to be 150 billion USD per year economy globally, and in Africa, 13.1 billion USD. 3.7 million people in Africa are forced in labor. They are being marginalized sexually, and 400,000 Africans are sexually exploited. Victims that are sexually exploited. 23% of all these criminal records globally take place in Africa. More reason why we will center our conversation today on Africa as a continent. Thank you for joining the show. Okay, I would like to say this because of the young ones in Africa. I've discovered major times people talk about human trafficking and sexual exploitation. They use ambiguous words so people can actually align with very well. I would like us to really break it down that everybody can actually understand very well. Are you on the same line with me on that? All right, thank you. Okay, sex trafficking. So what is the basic knowledge that you would like to share with people on that?
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Ben. I would like to first of all highlight that sex trafficking is actually one of the aspects of human trafficking. And human trafficking in our days is considered a form of modern day slavery. Because actually humans, they are being attributed as commodities. And according to the United Nations, we can define human trafficking as a system of recruitment, harboring, and harboring individuals by the use of force. That is something definitely which is very common in human trafficking, because the traffickers, they actually prey on the individual's vulnerability. Yeah, probably because they have been transported out of a site where they can no longer fend for their rights or fend for anything.
Okay, I will pick it from there. Now, you made mention of the modern slavery.
Yeah.
So, a better usage, a better word to qualify human trafficking in this current dispensation is modern slavery. That's an amazing one. What I would like to say is, our intention for today's show is to raise public awareness to prevent human trafficking and sexual exploitation. That is the goal. And I would like you to actually pinpoint out what are the really main causes of human trafficking. And before you go there, I have something written down here, and I would like you to actually go into it very well too. What are the strategies the traffickers use, to actually recruit their victims?
Okay, thank you very much. Actually, in our modern day society, majority of the youths, they're always glued to their phones. So social media is one of those strategies that these traffickers use, because they kind of they work on the sentiments of individuals. Okay, let me give for example, there is a lady, she's depressed. Imagine just getting some random text from somebody online, kind of oh, really, when you get that text, you kind of feel as if, hey, how did this person actually know I was feeling this way? And definitely that's how the conversation flows gradually, and definitely leads to something which is detrimental at the end. So social media is one of those, in fact it's the main strategy that is used by these individuals in order to prey on humans.
Wow, amazing. Okay, I will take it from there. So what research by the ILO actually reflects that social media, dating sites, magazine, advert, and the likes. So how do you think this can well be contained? How do you think this can be controlled and eradicated for the victims inside?
Okay, thank you so much. Actually, when they use these social media sites, there is this aspect of befriending, because you make the individual kind of really so attached to you in such a way that he feels as if maybe losing your friendship is something that he or she's going to regret for the rest of her life. So I think it's all about sensitization of individuals. Whenever you meet somebody online, don't trust the person that much, definitely. A lot of things happen on screen, which definitely face to face, they are two different things. So it's about, first of all, it's about sensitization, and I think this sensitization should actually take place at the elementary levels. Yeah, elementary levels in schools, as well as families. Families play a key role in sensitizing individuals, and the girl child in particular, with regards to this aspect.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, that's really nice. But before I actually forget the pre-question, before we talk about how all this means, they used to lure victims in, I would like you to actually share with us what are the main causes of human trafficking. Now we're talking about the victims. Now let's talk about the perpetrator of this hurt. I mean the traffickers, that people call them pimps. So what are the main causes of human trafficking in Africa? Let's limit to Africa now.
Okay, thank you so much. As human beings, we all have needs, and part of those needs, maybe we could be impoverished due to poverty, or the quest for a luxurious kind of lifestyle. Yeah, because those are some of those things that lead human beings to go an extra mile. You go an extra mile, you want to do anything in order to acquire, maybe you want to get an iPhone, you want to get Apple computer or whatever. So those are, it's poverty. Poverty is one of the main reasons.
Wow.
Yeah, and also notwithstanding, there are some regions also in Africa which they suffer from natural disasters.
Okay.
Or even civil wars. So when those civil wars actually happen, they kind of displace these individuals. They're like wandering around, they don't know where to live, they don't have shelter, basic food, let me say basic life necessities, it's really a problem to them. So they will do everything possible to get something like a meal just for themselves.
Okay, recently I actually made my own research and I discovered like large numbers of human trafficking that takes place in Africa, works around the Republic of Congo.
Okay.
But I would like to say this. I was saying now that traffickers actually go into that trade because of poverty. We can actually understand if victims they got into this because of poverty and maybe wars that break out that they're just there. But what about the traffickers themselves? Because we've seen billionaires investing in this business because it's financially oriented. There are a lot of incomes as recorded, 150 billion USD per year global economy at the face of the world. And in Africa, 13.1 billion USD annually. How many industries can actually contend that? So what are the main causes of these traffickers? Why are they going into this trade? Because they are rich already. So many of them are governmental agencies. Why are they going into this trade?
Well, you wouldn't really consider everybody as rich. And what I noticed actually is that maybe the rich actually want to get richer. Yeah, and there are certain individuals too, they do it for their personal gain, like kind of like they just want to pride around how can be able to mobilize persons to do whatever thing I want to do and all. So they want to carry that big name. Yeah, I can control these individuals as if they're like some commodities or some, yeah, that kind of thing. I have a say, I can do whatever thing I want. So definitely money could be the factor, as well as a stand in society, maybe getting positions and everything.
Wow.
Yeah, that's
okay, let's go to the next question, and this is a very sensitive one.
Okay.
Over 400,000 Africans are victims of sexual exploitation. Now, this accounts for 8% that were forced into sexual hurt, sex trafficking, and the international body like ILO reflect that no African country that meet up to the minimum standard of TVPAs. TVPAs, that's the Traffickers Victims Protection Act. No African country that meet up to this standard, minimum standard, to control and to what? To actually eradicate it in the face of Africa. So what is your reflection on this? If international body actually say this publicly, that no African country meet up to the minimum requirement to contain this. So what's your take on that? How do you reflect to this?
Actually, with regards to that, it's it's a call for concern. It's a big call for concern, honestly, because these are the individuals in a society, and I believe the local governments or the national governments should be able to protect the rights of their citizens. But if then they are not able to meet up with those regulations, then it's something definitely which has to be brought to book.
Has to be brought to book.
Yeah.
Well noted, well noted. Okay, just in diversition, and so many people actually have these misplaced understanding of prostitution and human trafficking, sexual exploitation, sex trafficking. I would like to say these. There are two different things for the same purpose. You know, people that are trafficked, larger percent of them end up being a prostitute. Some people actually enter into this trade voluntarily and they find it so hard to leave. Why do you think people that go into this trade, I'm talking about the people that actually walk into it themselves, like the prostitution now, why is it so hard for them to leave? And what do you think actually back this heart for them to deliberately walk into prostitution as a means to earn a living?
Yeah, there's in the long run, when you get to do something repeatedly, it's kind of like instilled in your system. And definitely, like they may think that is going to be a very, how can I put it, like a very affordable, a very easy way of getting money, instead of maybe going in for other jobs. So that that attachment already in something that they are doing, they're already fond of it, they've already grown into it, they've already, it's accustomed to their lifestyle, to their habits and everything. So it's just a matter of like, it's going to be like a total transformation, a mindset transformation for an individual to live that form of life.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Because there is actually an example of one lady too. She was in my country. She had been lured into prostitution and all by circumstances, some circumstances which I will not really want to mention. So in the course of it, somebody came, like a good Samaritan, wanting to remove her from that form of life, saying she is going to provide for her everything that she needs. She should not bother about the streets. She shouldn't bother about the streets and everything. But she was like, no, this is really my form of life. And actually, I have some persons too that I'm grooming. You don't expect me to leave. So it's something that you need the mindset transformation in order to be able to remove that individual from
now this you actually hit a point that will actually take me to this question. And by the way, she's from Cameroon, and let me say this now. In some cases, victims may have voluntarily entered the industry and they are not able to leave. Now, how can victims overcome the survivor's fear of their trafficker? You know, these traffickers at times they instill fear in the mind of the prey and their victims. So how do you think the victims can overcome this survivor's fear that has been instilled in them?
Yeah, fear is something that something that I myself, I talk about it at times. And I read in one based on one quote, it's like the best way to face fear, the best way to overcome fear is actually to face the fear.
To face the fear.